The collective, greetings, dear ones. We are very pleased to have this time to speak with you today. And so, what we are thinking of as we hear this beautiful, timeless song Woodstock, which apparently refers to one time in history, in the US, and many other countries it was a time of awakening, wasn't it? A beautiful time of people standing back at what they had been taught in schools, and from religions, and from their particular economic strata and their economic system. They were just standing back and looking at it, and saying, you know, this doesn't hold any much authenticity for me. It doesn't seem to hold many answers in terms of natural healing. It doesn't seem to offer people a path of soul growth. And it doesn't seem to allow for individualism. Now, what's interesting, is that what was heralded then in the 1960s and early 70s, was the very beginning of the age you are now in. Which, as one singing group called it, the age of Aquarius, this group called the fifth dimension. And the song came from a Broadway show, of course, that was all about young people who had long hair, and who refused to believe that life was so mapped out that there was no room for creativity or individual preference. And the input that the soul brings to one's everyday life. And so, it was just a time when people thought, everything is shifting and changing. Now, many tried to sweep that aside. They said, we don't care what the astrology says. What idiocy! What completely irrelevant nonsense! We don't care what people are feeling, or what they would like to do. We just know that you have to go to work for 40 or 50 years. And then if you are lucky, there's something to retire on. And you have to keep gasoline in the car, and you have to keep food on the table. And this was that older generation that had been through, in maybe 3 or more wars. They weren't fazed or surprised to see another being created and carried out in Vietnam, Cambodia. They thought that everyone should just go along and do as you're told. That's what we did, and we got by okay, most of us. And now, dear ones, you're in another place of severe objection to what the higher-ups, those in control, and those speaking from presumed authority have to say. And it isn't about political parties. It's about looking at these modern systems that talk about democracy and seem to offer that ways that are small, highly limited, but then when one compares it to the countries under authoritarian regime, one is supposed to be very thankful that, well, at least I don't live in one of those countries. Then lo and behold, these young people and others, those even up into their 80s, 90s, and 100s, were marching this past Saturday, holding up signs, and basically saying, look, we've become one of those authoritarian regimes. And it's because the corporations have decided to take over. This is the whole idea behind the word fascism, and what goes on behind that, dear ones. Because as beautiful light beings in physical form, you're going to look at life in a bigger way than simply what politics or the evening news will mention or think is relevant. You're going to look at things in terms of the cosmos. You're going to look at things in terms of what age are we in? How many thousands of years might that era bring us, and what would it bring us? What have we just released? What have we still got to release from our energies? Because we've been entrained so severely. We've been programmed. We've been held in a place of smallness. High levels of limitation, and low levels of freedom of thought. But what if we regained at least some of those DNA strands that were manufactured out of us as a species eons ago? What if we regained connection to our higher selves, our souls, our divine aspect, our divine selves? What if we began to look at the world not as a matter of an economic cycle, and that lovely capitalist credo that nothing starts or stops in the world till somebody buys something? What if we looked beyond it? What if decided we are the stuff of life itself, and we don't have to follow rules that do not reflect the power and the beauty and the enlightenment of our own souls? And so you all see yourself in this era, dear ones, and again, it's not about just how you vote, or oh, I like this politician, but not that one. Or oh, I hate party. I wish they'd go away. It's so much bigger than that, dear ones. And as these beautiful beings on the ships and in the etheric look up on the earth, and many walk amongst you, no worries there, as they look upon the earth and what her people are deciding for themselves, they see so many millions, not just a few hundred or a few thousand millions. Tens and hundreds of millions breaking out of the old entrainment that you are small, and you have to have someone standing over you, telling you what to do, or else you won't be safe. We see millions, perhaps even half the world's population at least, standing up and saying, there has to be something better. If all of us, with our consciousness, created this, we can create something higher. And the truth is, dear ones, you did create it. You're not facing enemies you've never seen before. You're facing old friends with whom you've had a number of arguments, sometimes outright love affairs. It depends on what life one is referring to. What dimension? What era? What timeline? You've all experimented something tremendous. So what is this dear one singing about in Woodstock, as this beautiful light being in human form is singing about getting her soul free? And is that only a matter of getting the mind free from the entrainment of modern life? Or any era on the earth, since Earth fell to the third dimension well against her own wishes, of course. Or is it bigger than that? We find that all of you would say, yes. Getting our soul free, and returning to the garden. Why else are we here? Just holding that idea in your hearts and minds, dear ones, it's so powerful. And what we're flowing to you right now, all of us in the collective and your beautiful spirit teams, what all are flowing to you now, as well as your soul family, is the kind of encouragement, the kind of energies that help you see beyond the strife, and the arguments, and the upsets, and the disruptions of your current era. So that you begin to realize, well, wait a minute. I'm here to anchor joy, in addition to everything else. I thought I was only here to anchor divine justice. I thought I was only here to become enlightened, and to ascend into 5D, and to assist others by anchoring a lot of light, to help awaken or work with the crystalline energy grid, to work with my lovely friends and family who are on the ships, and assisting Earth's people and Earth herself every moment. But it's much, much bigger even than that. As powerful and amazing as that vision is, dear ones, you've come in for far more. Because the Earth is awakening to where she is reaching out and connecting with other star systems, other planets, with other councils, intergalactic councils and confederations. And you are working, all of you, to ask that there be integration with the higher energies, to where this environment of strife, not just this issue or that, but this environment of strife and exploitation and tragic loss is shifted to where no one sees the point anymore. And out of the blue, that image that all of you have held near and dear to your heart actually begins to occur, whereby the soldiers lay down their weapons and refuse to fight.